What's up, what's up? We are doing a good old Diablo 4 build guide for the charge bolt setup that I've been running for a good bit. And recently it got buffed, which is super duper cool. So let's go ahead and hop into it. We're going to go over the good old skill tree. And we have things divided into chapters, so that way if you guys need to jump around, if there's something specific that you need, you can go ahead and find that time stamped. So for the skill tree, it is flexible. You can play around with it to what you like. The main aspect of this build is capitalizing off of applying the different control effects, such as immobilize, freeze, which we're getting from here, and then stun, which we're either getting from the Arc Lash enchant or from our chest piece, the Remnant of the Infinite. And then we utilize that in combination with the control aspect to get big numbers, to blow something up most of the time, and then we can get in and out of whatever fight that we're doing. And most of the time we're able to move to the next pack of enemies at a very smooth rate. So, skill tree, these 2 points are flexible. You can put them into whatever unless you need to use the Arc Lash. These points right here, max out charge bolt, amazing for the big damage that you can do in a short period of time, in conjunction with reducing the amount of damage that the enemy does by 20%. And then I play around with ice shards as the second enchant. This allows you to do like some pretty insane clearing. Right here, max teleport, max frost nova, and then we don't run ice armor at all, and we have elemental attunement maxed out, as well as glass cannon maxed out. So the reason why we're not running ice armor is because we are utilizing the teleport enchantment. The teleport enchantment, we're jumping around a whole bunch, which leaves this teleport off a cooldown for us to use defensively, and our flame shield we can also use defensively as well. And then we just cast a Frost Nova, and then 9 times out of 10, the thing that we are going to be getting back from Elemental Attunement is going to be Frost Nova. So this increases not only our survivability, because we're getting a barrier from this and all the other good stuff, as well as applying freeze, but this also helps out our overall clear speed and damage, because when we're applying freeze, vulnerable, and it helps us out, keep our good old combo flowing. It also helps proc the Ice Shard enchantment. So it has a really, really nice synergy in that regard. Stacking lucky hit chance in the stats is kind of odd due to how minimal of an increase it actually is when you look at the numbers. So we don't go into this most of the time. Either go into devastation, max out this for a bit more charge bolt damage, or do something along the lines of stacking up ice shards like I mentioned a little bit earlier. So max defenses, mana shield maxed out, protection maxed out, that we're able to get as much bulk as possible. Devouring Blaze, massive damage increase for the enemies that are burned, and also immobilized, which you're able to get from the Meteor. Meteor right here. Doing that enough in order to get the good old immobilize going. Then we have Hoarfrost, so if they're frozen, we're getting that nice damage increase as well. And then this build capitalizes off of using the unstable currents and shatter. Didn't really feel like I needed too much single target as I'm clearing through mobs or even fighting something like the butcher. So just having unstable currents works out well in conjunction with the charge bolt in order to clear out different rooms if I really needed to. Like if there's a little bit of downtime between my Frost Nova, or in a single target situation where I end up staggering the boss and I was like, okay, now it's time for you to get blown up. Just pop this bad boy right here. And some more points that you can play around with. Coursing currents, 1 point into here, 3 points into here if you want to be a little bit more defensively obligated. But due to the enemy being CC'd most of the time when you are close, this isn't going to give you as much value unless you kind of prioritize having like lightning spears or whatever, tag some of the enemies in the back that aren't in your initial close range. And then for like world bosses, you can swap off a shatter and go into overflowing surge. Then put points into ball lightning to the point where you get crackling energy. They probably want to go ahead and put some points into here, as well as invigorating conduit, so that way you're able to. So quick little overview of the gear. Really we're just capitalizing off of adding as much bulk, cooldown, and armor. I would say are our main focuses for this build setup. So that's what we went for this good old helmet. Remnant of the Infinite, super good chest piece. If you don't have this, just put on the same thing as the pants pretty much. So HP, damage reduction, and then armor is really, really good. We have Disobedience on here for, once again, some good old armor. Gloves, we're rocking this right here. Just stacking up the good old damage. You can also swap out the intelligence for like ice shard increase, which I think we have one of those in here somewhere. Yeah, ice shard increase or lucky hit. Both of these are solid choices. Boots. We're really looking for the plus evasion charges because we are capitalizing off of the teleport enchant. So that allows us to jump around a whole lot and stagger bosses, CC people, get CC going, as well as add a bit of tankiness to our overall build. And then crowd control duration, super duper good for the setup. So on the wand, we got the vulnerable damage as well as the critical strike damage increases. So that way we can go ahead and increase our multipliers of the damage that we don't really see too often throughout the Paragon tree. Give us those big old fat numbers. So we got the critical strike, cooldown, mana reduction, and then the lucky hit is cool. You can also go intelligence here. So you can play around with it, figure out if you feel like you need a little bit more mana back, then you can utilize the lucky hit. But you have some good old options. Barrier does work out with ice armor, which we don't use, and it also does work out with the shield that we're getting from blowing up a frozen target, which is on our Paragon tree. But I had to check if it changed with this patch. It was not working with the barrier that we got from just applying our basic skills. All right, it still doesn't work. It still doesn't work. Okay. All right. So yeah, you know, it gives you a little bit extra bulk, but it's not the craziest thing to add to your gear. Here we talked about the control aspect, super duper good. Cooldown. We don't have any movement speed on our boots, so we put movement speed on here. Then mana cost reduction, and then Devouring Blade is going to be our biggest multiplier to our damage. So definitely get that at +3 if you have the opportunity. +3 defensive skills is also good because we're using Frost Nova and Teleport a lot, and it would also save you a point that you can put somewhere else. So that is also a really good option. So for our rings, we're just stacking up the different multiplicative damage sources that we can find. Vulnerable damage, critical strike damage. We're adding some extra HP as well as some extra mana. You don't need as much mana as I have. The key thing is just staying above that 100 mana so that we're able to get that extra 40% crit. Now, these are the things that I'm running on here. You don't need this enchant for your ice shard. You can run something along the lines of the Storm Swell, which will give you a nice little damage bonus when you have that barrier up, as well as when the enemy is vulnerable. And that can go in this slot pretty well, especially if you're not running ice shard, because it, you know, won't do anything for you. You can see the visual real quick. Bada bing, bada boom. And the key thing that you just want from here, you really just want Static Surge, which is going to provide you with a way to get your mana back. Do we have our good old Elementalist here. Getting the weakness bonus with Tactician. Gives very good vulnerable damage. More vulnerable damage off of Exploit. Then we're getting some good old chill damage. So if the enemy is frozen, they're also chilled according to a good old Diablo 4 dev. So that's going to be a nice damage increase for us. And then ultimately we're going to end up putting our last few points into getting these last 2 willpower nodes, which is nice. I like running Icefall. You don't have to run Icefall. So one of the reasons why this is good is because it is a 5-second barrier. Not only is it providing you with that extra bulk of about 2000 HP, which is a good amount, it's providing you with that when barrier up effect. So that's going to help out when it comes to the ice shard effect, when it comes to the different aspects, such as this one right here. And this one right here. Almost it. We got this glyph right here. More damage. And then we finish off with good old destruction. And that's it for this tree. I keep on calling it a skill tree, even though it is a Paragon board. And I put this bad boy together. I'm actually excited about this Paragon board because it took me a decent little amount of time to get something that I really liked and something I guess new, pretty much. Maybe someone has the same board. You know, there's about 8 billion people playing this game, but that is pretty much it from your boy. If you have any questions about anything, go ahead and let me know. Adios.